Plasma 6 has now been out for a little over a month. It was released back in February on the 24th. Now, as I know, I think the only place or the only distribution that you can get Plasma 6 on is either KDE Neon or Arch Linux. Of course, other Arch derivatives would probably will have Plasma 6 as well. Other than that, I don't think there's really any distributions that you can get Plasma 6 on. I know that Fedora 40 will be shipping with Plasma 6, but right now Fedora 39 is still on Plasma 5.27, which is what I'm on. So now that it's been out for a little over a month, I figured let's talk about it. We're going to jump over to KDE's website, go over kind of the big changes that they have displayed, and then we're going to boot up a virtual machine and kind of just check it out. So if you like this kind of content, of course, consider hitting that like button because it really helps out the channel way more than you know. Also consider subscribing if you're into that kind of thing. And yeah, let's just get into it. Alright, so we got the KDE Mega Release 6. We're over on kde.org. Let's just check out what they have on here. I'm sure a lot of you have probably already looked at this, especially if you are a Linux or Plasma user. Nonetheless, let's just go ahead, run down this webpage, and just kind of see what's new. So, Plasma 6. KDE Plasma is a modern, feature-rich desktop environment for Linux-based operating systems, known for its sleek design, customizable interface, and extensive set of applications. It is also open source, devoid of ads, and makes protecting your privacy and personal data a priority. 2 leaps into the future. With Plasma 6, our technology stack has undergone 2 major upgrades: a transition to the latest version of our application framework, Qt, and a migration to the modern Linux graphics platform, Wayland. Now, of course, with Plasma 6, that means that they've upgraded the framework, they've updated Qt, so Qt is basically another framework that is used to create GUI applications, graphical user interfaces. That's why if you're into theming and stuff, sometimes, when your themes don't all come together, you've had that where some applications look different when you're trying to have like a dark theme. Maybe a certain application will have a light theme instead, or it won't match your custom theme. That has to do with like the Qt, same as like GNOME has GTK, I believe. That's what that is. That's what Qt is. It's the framework for GUI applications, pretty much. And with Plasma 6, of course, they've updated Qt to Qt 6. So that just tells me that we'll probably have some problems with theming for a bit in Plasma 6. And of course, now with Plasma 6, the time is Wayland, right? Wayland is the future and Wayland is now, honestly. If you're using a desktop environment such as GNOME or Plasma, just go with Wayland. I don't see why you would use X11 anymore unless you had like a specific reason. I would just go with Wayland. It's honestly a great experience. Now, if we're talking about like window managers, that's a different story. But we're not talking about those. It says, we have done our best to ensure that these changes are as smooth and unnoticeable to the users as possible. So when you install this update, you will see the same familiar desktop environment that you know and love. But these under-the-hood upgrades benefit Plasma's security, efficiency, and performance, and improve support for modern hardware. Thus, Plasma delivers an overall more reliable user experience while paving the way for many more improvements in the future. One of the cool things visually that they have is a new overview effect. Very akin to GNOME's kind of overview, or I don't know what it's called for GNOME, but it kind of has that same kind of aesthetic. You can see right here on the screen, this is what the new overview is going to look like. If we jump over here to just an empty workspace, I can show you, this is the old one, right? Or at least for Plasma 5. It's not much different, but it does look a little bit better, I think, on Plasma 6. Colors. This one is huge. So Plasma on Wayland now has partial support for high dynamic range. So the short of it is that HDR basically introduces a wider range of colors and brightness, just to make those colors more rich, right? There's way more that goes into it, but that's kind of just a broad overview of what HDR is. It says on supported monitors and software, this will provide you with richer and deeper colors for your games, videos, and visual creations. Now, you can see over here on the right, it looks like they're showing clips of Cyberpunk, and what was the other one? It looked like an Assassin's Creed game. This one right here, I believe, is one of the Assassin's Creed games, either Origins or Odyssey, something like that. These are big games, right? I know that with Steam, Linux gaming has become a lot better. I don't game on my computer. I don't game on Linux. I don't game on anything, right? If I play games, it's on my Xbox. So I don't have any experience with this, with gaming, especially on Linux. They're showing AAA titles here, so it seems like gaming has come very far for Linux, and this is just another step in the right direction. And of course, a new Plasma means a new wallpaper. I'm not personally a fan of it, but it is what it is. It's kind of cool. It was created by a member of the community, I'm assuming. Their little tag name is here, or whatever you want to call it. So that's cool. A community member was actually able to get their wallpaper onto Plasma 6. That's pretty cool. They have a light version and of course, dark mode version. It is what it is. It's just a wallpaper, right? Odds are you're probably going to change that anyway as soon as you get into it, but nonetheless, it's still there. Another default that they have now is the floating panel. And when I first started using Linux a few years ago and I first used KDE, I loved the floating panel. I actually thought, why don't they have this on by default? Now, fast forward to today, I do not use the floating panel whatsoever. I just don't really like it. I keep it just a normal panel, right? But it's still cool. Now, these are the defaults now for Plasma 6, but that doesn't mean that you can't change them. You can, of course, have your panel however you want it. There are some UI changes. As you can see, this is now the menu for the panel settings. Instead, if we, again, jump over here, this is what it looks like on Plasma 5. And you have to go over here to this more options tab to change if you want the floating panel, the opacity. You can, of course, align it center, left, right. You can do everything. It's the same thing. There's nothing new that you can do. It's just a different kind of UI. It looks a little cleaner, and I don't mind it. Still got a whole nother list of new defaults, such as files and folders are now selected with a single click and opened with a double click. So before, by default, folders were opened with just a single click. That was kind of like a Plasma Linux thing. My whole life, it's always been double click, because when I used Windows and stuff before Linux, not that I used it much, but it's always been double click, so that single click was weird to me. But I kind of wish that they would have left it, because that was just that was like Plasma's thing, the single click. It just, why change, right? But I get they're trying to reach a broader audience. Touchpad tap to click is now enabled by default, which I don't know why that ever was off by default. It just seems like something that you would have on by default, especially if you're trying to reach a broader audience, which is obviously what they're trying to do now. Another one is Wayland, like we talked about, is the default graphical session. There will come a time where X11 is just not there anymore. I think Fedora has already talked about dropping X11 come F40. So not that you can't get an X11 session, it's just that it's Wayland, baby. People, it's Wayland's time, all right? There's some other stuff there, but nothing crazy. They have refreshed Breeze, which is the default theme for Plasma. I don't really like Breeze. I use a Nord theme, but it's not horrible, right? There's a light theme and a dark theme of Breeze. So they've reorganized the settings as well. It says, we've improved the settings app, making it more user-friendly and reducing the number of nested pages. That is one thing about Plasma, is that it has a lot of settings, which can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing for certain people. I like diving into all that stuff and just seeing what's there, so it was never a problem for me. But I can see somebody who just wants a desktop environment to get to work in. They don't want to be fiddling in a bunch of menus and stuff, so they've reorganized it and tried to kind of just make it a little bit cleaner. This is another one. This literally doesn't matter at all, but I think a lot of people, old school Linux users, will enjoy this. But it says the cube is back. I guess a couple of years ago, some major architectural improvements in KWin had forced them to temporarily remove the famous cube effect, but now it's back. So now all you old heads can have your little cube effect back. Plasma Search has also been upgraded a little bit. Now lets you customize your search results, and you can of course do that within your system settings. It says down here that Plasma Search is 200% faster when you're looking through documents, 60% faster to search for an application, 30% less CPU cycles. So just all in all, just solid improvements, right? I don't know if you're necessarily going to notice that 200% faster search when you're looking through documents, but I think when you put all this together, you're going to have a solid experience with Plasma 6. So that was the website. That's kind of just the big stuff that's happening with Plasma 6. Let's jump over to a VM now. I just installed KDE Neon, and let's just check it out for a couple of minutes. Alright, so here is what you get dropped into by default on Plasma 6. You can see that, that wallpaper there, and we've also got the floating panel. We can jump over here into the edit mode to kind of see that new UI. And you can change it here. You can change the visibility, the opacity, the style, height. I like to drop that down a little bit. You can make it floating or not. Again, I don't really like the floating. Alignment, center, left, right, set position. And then once you click that, you'll see these arrows pop up, and then you can decide where you want your panel to go. So if I click up on the top arrow, of course it jumps over there to the top. Let's jump into the settings. First of all, let's change it to Breeze Dark. It just looks so much better. You know, while we're talking about themes, I just watched a Linux experiment video, but he was talking about how some themes in Plasma 6 actually ended up messing somebody's system up. Now, it wasn't done maliciously or with ill intent, I don't believe, but it could be, right? So just be careful when installing themes like these global themes. I'll show you. If you go into colors and themes down here, go up here to get new. It's the global theme store, right, where you can install a bunch of different themes. Be careful with these because these are not uploaded by your distribution, right? You can see right here, the content available here has been uploaded by users like you and has not been reviewed by your distributor for functionality or stability. Now, I didn't really pay attention to the Linux experiments video all that much, but from what it sounded like, these themes can actually run commands and they can do a lot more than they, in my opinion, should be able to do. Just be careful with them. And not only that, really just themes in general on Plasma 6 are kind of wonky right now because like we said, or like we talked about, with this upgrade to a new framework and to Qt6, all these themes need to be ported over for Plasma 6. If you're on Plasma 5 and you go into these global themes, there's thousands of them. There's so many of them that you can use. And they all, for the most part, work relatively well. At least the ones I've used. If you go onto Plasma 6 and try to install a theme, odds are you're not going to get not every application is going to adhere to that theme just because of the Qt6 and all that. At least I think that's why. There's not nearly as many themes for Plasma 6 as there are for Plasma 5. Again, I think that's just because the devs haven't ported them over yet. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, right? They don't have to do that. Yeah, I don't know. Just theming is very iffy on Plasma 6 right now. So if you're the type of person who likes to customize and theme your desktop like myself, I don't do it a lot, but I have a specific setup, right? And I can't have that specific setup on Plasma 6 yet. So that's the main reason why I'm not moving to Plasma 6 yet. So hopefully that gets all fixed in the future. But for right now, I would say don't even bother using a theme, any of these global themes on Plasma 6 right now until that all gets ironed out and you hear something concrete about it. The fact that I've had problems with theming on Plasma 6 and then now today I saw that video just tells me, yeah, stay away from themes on Plasma 6 right now. Just stick with the breeze, either light or dark, and then you'll be fine. Which really sucks, it does, because I don't like breeze. You know, I like a Nord theme, and that's really the main reason why I'm not on Plasma 6 right now. Alright everybody, well that was Plasma 6. Again, I think it's a pretty good upgrade for those people that it's for, right? Again, if you're like me, I would just hold off. But yeah, you know, that's the video. You know, I do want to say now here at the end of the video where viewers have probably already dropped off tremendously. I kind of just wanted to give a little update about the channel. Obviously, I haven't posted in a handful of months now, since last year, back in December. And that's because I really just don't know where to take the channel, right? And I think I'm stressing about it so much that I just don't put any content out. So I'm just done stressing about it. This channel is going to be, it's like my tagline thing says, I talk about the things that I like, right? So I'm going to be talking about Linux. I'm going to be talking about music. I'm going to be talking about guitar specifically, not, you know, more guitar than music. But I also have some videos about like history that I want to do about guitars and just, you know, the history of that and whatnot. And the reason is because I got this not too long ago. It's a little Sigma DM5, supposedly. That's what I was sold, or that's what it was sold to me as, a DM5. I think it's a DM3, but I know if you're still watching this video, you're probably like, what the hell are you talking about? I know I'm jumping topics, but when I got this guitar, it kind of made me dive into the history of Sigma, which is a brand that C.F. Martin, if you don't know about C.F. Martin, it's basically the best acoustic guitar in the world. They created these cheaper guitars back in the 70s to compete with a lot of cheaper guitars that were coming in from overseas, you know? So if you know anything about guitars, and if you know what Fender is, then Sigma is to Martin as like Squier is to Fender, which is funny because I got this little guy here. This is a little Squier Stratocaster, classic vibe. This is a great little guitar, but it's not a Fender, right? It's a Squier. But that's basically what that little Sigma is, that little acoustic guitar. It's Martin's cheap version, just like this guitar is Fender's cheap version, you know? Maybe one day I'll have a Fender and a Martin instead of a Sigma and a Squier, but hey, you know, we'll get there. But yeah, you know, I love these things. I love playing guitar. That's also another reason why I haven't really made videos, is because all of my free time is spent playing guitar. But I really want to get back to making content and making videos because, I mean, I love Linux, I love guitar and playing guitar, but I also love just editing videos and stuff, you know? I love the production aspect of it. So, I don't know, it's just, I'm like a jack of trades, master of none kind of thing, you know? But whatever, I'm going to start rambling. I just wanted to let you guys know that there are some new stuff coming up, or I have some new projects in the work that I'm pretty excited about, and I hope that you'll be excited about it, even if you are here for the Linux content, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I want to make a bunch of different stuff. and I just kind of want to make whatever I like making, which is kind of what I've done from the jump anyway. It's not like I'm really trying to make a business out of this, right? I mean, I would love to be able to support my family by creating just projects and content and videos and stuff, but that's not the main goal. This stuff is my hobbies and what I enjoy and what kind of makes me not go crazy from working my 9 to 5, right? But I don't know. I would love for this to turn into something eventually because I think that would be really cool. I just don't know exactly what yet, right? So I just ask for you to stick around, enjoy the ride because we're gonna have fun no matter what we talk about. And yeah, if you've made it this far, holy shit, I appreciate you so much. But yeah, I don't know. If you just like seeing a guy talk about things that he loves and enjoys, stick around because we have a bunch more stuff coming your way.